Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK. My BFF Jill730.
My BFF
Jill
730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations, as always. You've made your way to the Buffyngton Post. So lately, I've been covering Season 9 of the Buffyverse, and today we're going to take a slight detour from that, but it's all okay. We're going to circle back into the same overall freeway with IDW's Angel book, Illyria Haunted. So the canon of this particular book is kind of up in the air. It takes place between the events of Angel After the Fall and the end of Season 8. It takes place before some other Angel IDW books as well, but the thing about the Angel IDW books is that nothing that happens in them really ever gets brought up super seriously in the Dark Horse publications after they get Angel and his characters and Buffy and her characters and all of the Buffyverse back into the Dark Horse house. They very rarely will make callbacks to the IDW books, and so this really, like everything from the IDW books, is kind of moot, but it's not. It's still canon, and so that's all a thing. But for the most part, this book is kind of a standalone. The main thing you need to know for this book, as far as the other IDW published books for Angel, is that during Angel After the Fall, Illyria was restored to its true form, its physical body as an old one, this enormous, super giant god-looking thing. It was restored to that, and basically, since there was no real place for Illyria in our world anymore, Illyria decided to take the equation out of the equation by imploding all of time on itself. The way that they avoided this was because Beta George actually flooded Illyria's minds with memories from Wesley and Spike of Fred in order to give Illyria a moment of empathy and compassion, long enough for them to, stop hell and the whole universe from imploding. But the punchline is, Illyria retains all of those memories from Ghost Wesley and from Spike within it, and now on top of Fred's memories, it's got two other batches of memories in there, like clicking around with its own mind, right? But without further ado, let's just jump into it. It's Angel Illyria Haunted. Here we go! So basically, this book is about Illyria's existential crisis, because Illyria shouldn't be here, it doesn't belong in this world, and yet it is in this world, and more specifically, it's in this very human body that is super limiting on what it's capable of. It can't really express itself the way it wants to, because our human bodies, and specifically this dead human body that it's in, it can't be itself. And on top of not being itself, physically, it's also not itself because it has Fred's memories always kind of coming into play, and it also has Wesley's memories coming into play, and it also has Spike's memories coming into play. And where we find Illyria here is questioning what it all means, where in the overlapping of all of these different personalities Illyria finds itself, and kind of finds meaning in that. Illyria feels already like there's not enough room in this body to be and it now feels that there's not enough room in this body for the other parts of it, because there's just too much going on in Illyria's head, and it's not even really its own head, you know what I mean? And so it goes to Angel, and it's talking to Angel about this conundrum of trying to be and not knowing how to be good, because Illyria's been playing with Angel and playing with Spike and playing with Connor and playing with Gunn, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of going through the motions. It doesn't really have anything really driving it, and it's lost. It's, like I said, having an existential crisis. Angel basically says, all good things come to those who wait, and you just have to deal with it and stick with it because life sucks and it doesn't get any better, but keeps going and you'll figure it out in time. Typical Angel stuff, and so Illyria doesn't like that, and so Illyria goes to talk to Spike, and it relates to Spike the fact that it's been dreaming, and it never really used to dream. It needed 20 minutes of sleep every few days, but it was like a blackout. It didn't actually dream, but now that Illyria has all of these different memories, things are starting to change, and it's dreaming the dreams that Wesley and Spike and Illyria might have dreamt. And of course, she's gone to Spike because Spike is a poet, and Illyria is dealing with this very kind of philosophical dilemma within itself, and Spike is a poet, and she thinks that maybe Spike will have some insight as to how to kind of deal with all of these different aspects and kind of get some clarity, but Spike can't offer Illyria any clarity because nobody can really relate to Illyria. It's hard to really get on Illyria's level because it doesn't have that humanity that is kind of vital. You know what I mean? And basically, Spike tells Illyria that they might be able to find answers for Illyria at the deeper well. And we find out that in Illyria's dreams, Illyria is dreaming of what might have been, what could have been for Wesley and Fred, and Illyria realizes the insignificance of humans. It realizes how small and fleeting and short our lives are, and yet within these dreams, they are kind of the most beautiful thing that it's ever experienced. It realizes that humans really create meaning, and they kind of decide what's good and what's right and how important things are on a personal level, and Illyria is finally coming to a place where it can appreciate humanity in the very least. And it's experiencing some emotions that it's never really dealt with. It feels a little bit guilty about killing Fred, and it feels a little bit of empathy with humans. And so all of this is really neat, and Spike and Illyria are kind of talking about this as they go to see this Sally character, who is a demon who can send Illyria to the deeper well. Sally is going to help Illyria get to the deeper well, but it needs something done for it first. And so Sally sends them to the post office, and it's really funny. We get this, maybe it's Elvis, maybe it's an Elvis impersonator, and they're waiting in the line at the post office in the middle of the night for like 3 hours straight, and it's really testing Illyria's patience, but eventually they get the information that they need from the post office, and they go to the house of this like spider demon to get this locket thing that Sally wanted, and all this good stuff. Like basically Sally and this spider demon guy were kind of in love or whatever, and Illyria doesn't understand. Like Illyria doesn't really get love. It's trying to understand it, but it doesn't. But anyway, problem solved. Sally opens up this portal, and Illyria goes off to the deeper well. It's attacked by like the guardians around the well, like we saw in A Hole in the World, but it's Illyria, handles it like nothing. There's apparently this new guardian of the well who is in there, and she's kind of this matronly, just knitting in the dark figure, and some stuff happens, and then she allows for Illyria to go down into the deeper well to, investigate its tomb and all is fun. But it says, don't touch anything, blah blah blah. If you touch anything, it'll be badness, so have fun. And so Illyria goes down into the deeper well with these two kind of ancient demons that are actually kind of like related to her in a like weird kind of roundabout way, and she makes pets of them, okay? So basically, down at Illyria's tomb, where it was imprisoned for like eons, it is kind of looking around, and it realizes that there aren't any answers for it here, and it just gets super upset, starts throwing shit everywhere. But then it notices this, like, glowing thing, and it says, oh, curious. And, Fred's curiosity is what made her want to go out and touch the little red amulet thingamabob that was on the sarcophagus in the first place, right? And so, in very much the same way, we have Illyria going and touching this bright blue gem, and when Illyria does this, it seems that, and this is some big conjecture, but it seems like the Quahazan, Nox, it seems like his purpose was to take Illyria back to this tomb, because when Illyria touches it, it's in a dead body, and, that just doesn't work. And when it touches it, it's almost like Illyria's true essence is kind of snapped together. It can use its powers in its full extent once again, okay? And so Illyria's feeling great about this. But then the matronly new guardian of the deeper well comes down and says, hey, I told you not to touch anything. Look at all this stuff that you've done everywhere. It looks crazy down here. What the fuck did you do? And about this time, we find out that Illyria is not the only one to kind of wake up down there. This other one called Arzmagor? Hold on. Arzgamor. So Arzgamor is this, like, super ancient old one, and it comes back not in, like, a creepy dead Fred body, but no, in its actual old one body, and it's super huge, and it's just bad news, and it's about to go and reclaim the entire world, and Illyria can't stop it, and it makes fun of Illyria for looking so much like a human, and so sad, so weak, and it's gonna reclaim the world for itself, okay? The Guardian of the Well beseeches Illyria to go and stop Arzgamor because it will destroy the human world that's been created around it, and basically, Illyria, by this point, because it has kind of fused the body with its essence and it's kind of fully powered again, it understands. It's like it kind of is alive again. It's really hard to explain because it doesn't do a very good job of explaining, and I'll get to that later. But punchline is, Illyria decides all of a sudden that it's got compassion and empathy for the human world out there, and it's going to go and stop Arzgamor. Well, Arzgamor, she kind of gets it on the ropes for a second, but it kind of like, whoop, bye Illyria, bye Felicia.
Bye Felicia.
And it actually kills one of her demon pets, okay? And Illyria is like really upset about the loss of this pet of hers.
Bye Felicia.
And this is all about Illyria, like I said, being alive and being connected to life. She's able to connect to this demon pet of hers, but in a much larger sense, she is now able to feel connected to all of life, and humanity being a part of that, she has kind of accepted. But she says, oh, you know what, that's fine. You know how Illyria talks to plants? Well, apparently Illyria talks to plants, and remember how Illyria's name is like, I'm Illyria, maker of things. Well, that's because it makes things. It can, like, control plants, and Illyria uses its super plant powers that we didn't know about in order to kind of ensnare Arzgamor. And after a minute, it says, you'd probably kill me without a second thought, but I'm gonna do you one better. And Illyria actually kind of de-evolves. You know how Illyria has, like, time powers and all this good stuff. It puts Arzgamor back into kind of like a larvae state, and it leaves the kind of baby Arzgamor with the Guardian of the Deeper Well in order to raise it and guide it to be a better demon in the eons to come when it finally matures. So after this, Illyria goes back to Los Angeles, has this, like, heart-to-heart with Spike, thanks him for, like, helping her out and all this good stuff, and then finds out that it, of course, has the power to open portals again, which is great. Illyria is, like, fully restored to its power, yay. And the book ends with Illyria newly powered, newly having this, like, compassion and empathy and a sense of understanding and purpose in the world, and a sense that it's okay to go out and find a purpose in this world, even though it seems like the world's not fit for her anymore. And, yay, it's just like, oh, a world of possibilities opening up for Illyria, yay. And that's how we end the book. Okay, so this book is not great. It's really not. There's so much that's not explained, and I feel like this is one of the rare cases where we are at a disadvantage as the audience, because there's so much to Illyria. Illyria is like too much for us to kind of get, and as a reader and as just an audience member when you're watching the show, it's really neat to look at Illyria and think about Illyria, and for Illyria to be super intellectualized for us, because that's all we can really do is kind of deal with the intellectual problem that is Illyria. Whereas the characters around Illyria, they really get a better deal, because they have the subtext of this is walking around in Fred's body, and they have that connection with Fred that, you know, we kind of do, but we don't, you know what I mean? And so for the other characters, dealing with Illyria is awkward and kind of off-putting and all that good stuff, whereas we as audience members, we are completely enthralled with Illyria. I mean, have you seen this bitch? She looks awesome. And honestly, that's kind of the thing about Illyria. It's such a beautiful character design that we want to see more of it. I mean, it's such a lovely character design. You really can't get over it. And Amy Acker really made something awesome of looking like Illyria, and I feel like part of wanting Illyria around is just because we want to look at it, and there's really nothing wrong with that, but essentially that's the best part of this book. Because looking at Illyria is fine, but again, we are at a disadvantage because there is too much to Illyria. There's too much. Making a whole book about Illyria seems to me to be a waste because it can't be expressed. It can't be expressed in thoughts, in words, in actions. It cannot be expressed. It is so far beyond our understanding that trying to give it thoughts and feelings doesn't ever really work here, and that's my main problem. And as far as like things being explained, I don't know why this blue gem just suddenly and automatically makes Illyria feel like it's just like hunky-dory and it knows exactly how it's supposed to like feel, and all of a sudden like have empathy and all this good stuff. Like it's great stuff, it's pretty stuff, but it doesn't emotionally connect in the way that I feel like it really wants to. And a part of that comes from the fact that when you've got characters like Buffy and like Faith and Angel, we can appreciate going through the books and being in their heads and all this good stuff because we've spent so much time with them on screen, and so we know what their voices are and we know what their motivations are and we know their flaws, where Illyria doesn't really have flaws, and if it did, it wouldn't admit to it, you know what I mean? And in this book, we do have Illyria admitting to the flaws, but again, it doesn't work for me. But the punchline is that Illyria is completely restored to its full power set, if not its full, body, which is a really neat thing. I talked about when the Slayer, right? Like, the vampire is the demon in a dead body, but the Slayer is the demon power in a living body. And when you're alive, you can express yourself, and you can be yourself. And what seems to be going on here is that Illyria is going through much the same thing. It's Illyria, but not in a dead Fred body, in a living Fred body almost. It's like Illyria's finally snapped together. It's memories of Wesley, and it's memories of Fred, and it's memories of Spikes. They all kind of merge and complement one another rather than contradicting each other. And again, why? Like I said, it's major speculation that Nox was supposed to like bring Illyria back to this to kind of fill in the gaps of power that were there, you know what I mean? And so overall, do I think you should go out and get this book? No. No, really. I mean, if you like to look at Illyria, like, who doesn't? I mean, honestly, look at this bitch, come on. It's fine, go and get Illyria Haunted, but really the only reason I'm covering this book is because Illyria is coming back in Season 9 of the Buffyverse. So, I hate to say it because Illyria is such an intriguing character, but I think Illyria really works better as almost an obstacle or a side character because, again, it's just too much. It's too much to express in any one thing. Especially when you aren't explaining your whole, shiny blue Illyria fixing crystal MacGuffin. Am I wrong? No. And another problem that I really have about this is it seems so repetitive. Nothing here is very original. It's not. There's this part where Illyria says something about offal, and it's like, okay, well, just because Illyria said that in the show doesn't mean that it should be like a go-to word for Illyria, because I mean, Illyria is so fucking old. It would make sense that this thing would have an extremely extensive vocabulary. Especially since we know that it has, like, Fred and Wesley's minds in it, right? And so much of this just seems repetitive from Angel Season 5, and the Spike stuff, the moments between Spike and Illyria, they work, and those characters really do complement one another the way that they did in Season 5, but again, it all feels kind of recycled. Nothing here feels very fresh or necessary. I think that's the big thing. None of this feels completely necessary. As far as making Illyria into, you know, a good guy, that's all well and good, but I feel like Illyria's better as not a good guy, because Illyria up until this point is all about its pride, and we'll see as we move through into Season 10 that Illyria kind of loses this once it comes back in Magic Town, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, you know, Planet Earth, let me know what you thought of Illyria Haunted if you've read it in the comment section below. It's not my favorite. I mean, it's always nice to look at Illyria, like I said, but nothing here's really necessary. And that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, I'm Preston L. Young. You can come right back here to the Buffyngton Post anytime. I've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Angel and Faith reviews, Buffyverse discussions on the other Slayers, and more. I hope you're having a great 2016 so far, everybody. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, question. Have yourselves a great day today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
He stumbled into faith and thought, God, this is all there is. The pictures in his mind arose and began to breathe, and all the gods and all the worlds began colliding on a backdrop of blue. Blue lips, blue veins. He took a step, but then felt tired. He said, I'll rest a little while. But when he tried to walk again, he wasn't a child. And all the people hurried fast, real fast, and no one ever smiled. Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the color of our planet from far, far away. Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the color of our planet from far, far away. He stumbled into faith and thought, God, this is all there is. The pictures in his mind arose and began to breathe, and no one saw, no one heard. They just followed lead. The pictures in his mind awoke and began to breed. They started off beneath the knowledge tree, and they chopped it down to make red picket fence, and a marching along the railroad tracks. They smiled real wide for the camera lenses. They made it past the enemy line just to become enslaved in the assembly lines. Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the color of our planet from far, far away. Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the color of our planet from far, far away. Blue, the most human color, blue. most human color, blue. The most human color, blue lips, blue veins, blue. The color of our planet from far, far away.
Test for sound. Test for sound. But it seems like the Quahazan, Knox, what is happening in your earphones? And test for sound and motion, I found. And motion, because sometimes it'll just record my voice. Gotta give it a solid 3 or 4 seconds. Not just a test for sound. And may I just say, wow, Planet Earth, if you have stuck around this long, you are a true Buffyngton poster. Digital Air 5 smack. I just wanted to say, you know, I have some rules for my opening credit sequence themes. I use television songs, but they have to have words to them, and I don't speak Botswani. If you speak Botswani, please translate the song at the beginning of this video. But, you know, I don't speak Botswani, and I don't really understand the song, but I really loved the whole vibe of the song, and I thought it really kind of translated to Illyria, kind of trying to get back to, you know, her roots, or its roots, or whatever you want to call Illyria, because the song, you know, they keep saying Botswana a lot, and so it seems to me like it's a celebration of Botswana, and this whole Illyria Haunted is kind of a celebration of getting back to yourself, of getting back to that feeling of, like, natural feeling within yourself, and kind of your identity as an individual. And I felt like this song kind of captured the spirit of Illyria, because, you know, I don't understand the song, or at least the words of it, and I don't understand Illyria because it can't be expressed into words, and so I know I've kind of rambled on, and if you've stuck around this long, Buffyngton poster, again, Digital Air 5 smack. But I just wanted to kind of explain my thought process behind this particular opening credit theme.
Duh.